Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, today another Marauder from ICM, but this time perhaps one of the more interesting ones, you might say, because it's the B-26F Marauder. So it's World War II American bomber, in service from about 1943 onwards, I think it was. We'll get into the history in a minute, but the main reason that this has been produced, and another, I think it's maybe the fifth Marauder in there now. Well, this is a bit different because this is the F. It has the higher angle of attack, so the wings are basically tilted back, tilted up at the front and down at the back, ever so slightly, 3 degrees I think it is. We'll get into the detail later, but yeah, so it is different. You know, it is different. It's not just different decals on this one. An interesting aircraft because they had all these. This aircraft had a bit of a history of accidents in its early days. A bit tricky. Had a tricycle undercarriage, very powerful. Didn't have. It had quite a long. Required quite a long runway. Very tricky for sort of less experienced pilots. Didn't have the most amount of lift. One or two nasty sort of stall characteristics and things at low speed. So this cured a lot of those problems, and that's why they've come out with it. So kit number 4825. I'll just quickly zoom you in again for another quick look at the artwork, which is very nice. Looks like it's on a bombing raid over Europe somewhere. On the side we have got 3 different marking options. So this is August 44. Which I think is probably operating in France. It doesn't actually say so, but I think it's France. And then you've got, that's the Miss Manuki, the 586 Bomber Squadron. Then you've got Red Light Rosie, oh dear, 587th Bomber Squadron, 1944, doesn't say when. And then Zombie 4, the 587th Bomber Squadron, 1944, again doesn't say. Late 44, they're going to be in France or Belgium, aren't they? If it's before September, France probably, and then after September probably Belgium or Holland. So let's have a little looky what it says on the side. I'm sure it'll explain this thing about the wing, hopefully. Yeah, it does. So it says, just zoom you back a bit more. Is that it? Yes. It says the model represents the B-26F Marauder variant with its distinctive increased wing angle of attack. So down at the back, up at the front. The fuselage, it's like a high alpha wing, isn't it? The fuselage features specific characteristics unique to the B-26F Marauder variant. It also, I think, had like a vent tube, an extra vent tube for fuel tanks on the top. The model maintains accurate geometry proportions to the real aircraft, detailed recreation of both the cockpit and the fuselage components, and includes decals for 3 aircraft and 3 unique nose-out designs. And it has 380 parts. Now this is a 65 pound kit. But you get quite a lot of plastic in here, so actually very good value. This was my kit of the year. I mean, I don't blame them for churning out more of these, especially with an interesting, proper different version like this is. Because this was, without doubt, we know we're going to have, touching the wood, but we'll have epic clear parts, I'm sure. You know, the little young man with his bamboo sticks probably been polishing the moulds again, which makes this one of the best kits on the market, really, for its price. Very nicely. Goes together pretty well from what everybody tells me. I've not built it myself, but I know that many others, Phil Flory and many other people have built them and said, yeah, it's nice. So let's have a look. Let's have a look and see what we got with this one. Another Marauder. Oh, they said, right, you made it your kit a year, we're going to make you have it again and again and again. So this is the 5th variant there. But as I say, it is actually, they've got a good excuse with this one because it is different, and it's a fine model, this. If you haven't had a Marauder or seen it yet, yeah, this is kind of state-of-the-art model, injection moulding with fantastic quality. But let's have a look at the new version, see what we've got here. So, box within a box, usual excellent packaging from ICM, but it's moving around a bit, I can hear it. So there must be a little bit of space in there somewhere. Now look at the presentation here. But look at the way they're now becoming one of the more advanced kit manufacturers in the way they're presenting and protecting things. So yes, there's 2 bags of screws in here, but they're now protecting, additional protection, a bit like Great Wall Hobby do, for the clear parts, where they've got this really rather nice bit of foam all around the clear parts, and then you've got your second big old screw there. matte plastic, as I said, and then you've got your destructions. Of course, it recommends for this kit the paint set number 3047, which from memory I think is I think that's the same as the flat bait one, which we had before for Marauders. Just over there, so bear with me. So there we go. Right, so let's give you the spiel then. ICM's full, very detailed history that they give, which I really do like. There's some things about their instructions, which many of you that watch my channel regularly, you'll know that I'm not entirely enthusiastic about the way that they don't label anything. I find this a little bit frustrating. And one of my subscribers and friends has recently been building the Humvee, and apparently that's got quite a few issues in the instructions actually, rather than the plastic, which is fine. It's an area where ICM, they've got a lot of issues there. We're not going to moan about it too much. We're not going to mark them down for it. But in the future, it's the one area, the two things I'd like to see them do really moving forward, longer term, would be paint mass set, and definitely improve the instructions a bit more. Sometimes they can be a bit lacking in clarity in terms of telling you what to do next, or inverting the kit and things like that. And also sometimes they just don't have any descriptions, which I would like to see. An Airfix are just as guilty of this as well. I'd like to see them make a bit more effort in their layout of the instructions, especially when you've got a kit that is this good. It's a weak point that it's a bit like the Chinese, not as bad as them because they don't even bother with the history, do they? But it's a weak point that I know it involves a bit of work, but all they need is a good English speaker. If they put it in English, I know this is the worry. None of these manufacturers want to have multiple languages. Then it gets expensive, interpreters and reprints. And just put it in English. Anybody can translate them. At least you've got the instruction in a language. You can always use Google Translate to get around it. I just put it in English because it's I know I'm English, obviously, but it's not because of that. It's just the universal, biggest, most widely spoken language in the world. Or is it? Or is it Chinese now? Anyway, I'm digressing, but that's just an area where they could improve. So I'll get that out of the way at the beginning, and the rest can all be good. Are you ready for this? So it says the B-26 Marauder F. Most significant modification was its redesigned wing structure. By increasing the angle of attack by 3.5 degrees, it's slightly more than I thought, the engines gained a slight upward tilt. Ah, yes, okay. So that's a second benefit, isn't it? So the change shortened the takeoff run by up to 90 metres, reduced the takeoff speed required, and decreased the landing distance, although it slightly lowered the maximum flight speed. Well, that's because of drag, of course. If you increase two levels of drag. So you've got two benefits and two downsides. So if you're increasing your angle of attack into the wind, it's almost like you've got flaps, bigger flaps. So you've got much more lift because of the wind, the air has to work harder at the given angle that it's, angle of attack into the wind, so to speak, the angle at which the wing cuts into the wind. So you're going to get more lift. But of course, because the engine's mounted on the wings, that means the engines tilt up slightly, so you're also getting more aerodynamic lift that I've just mentioned, and you're getting more engine-driven lift over the control surfaces as well, and more upward thrust. So you're getting upward thrust, you're getting additional benefit from the aerodynamics as well. You're getting both at the same time. Plus that backwash from the props in the area over where the flaps are. Obviously, that's significantly increased. So it's almost like a triple benefit. But the downside is, as they mentioned there, its top speed will be affected because it's quite draggy. It's like a Formula 1 car. If you take, those of you that don't watch Formula 1, if you take a Formula 1 car that's been set up for Monte Carlo and take it to Silverstone, it's the British Grand Prix. I don't know if it was this weekend, last weekend, depends on when you watch this. Probably last weekend. But if you take the Monaco spec car to Silverstone, it's going to be painfully slow, and it's going to be at the back of the field, simply because it's got a high angle of attack in reverse to give downforce in that case, but rather than lift. So it's still lift, it's just inverted lift. but it's, you know, it's draggy. And at Silverstone or somewhere like that, Monza, you want to have straight line speed, and with all that extra angle of attack, it creates a lot of drag and makes you slower. So it's simple as that. So, you know, this is why, remember the Formula 1 analogy, at Silverstone they have very small wings, and at Monza even smaller, the smallest, because they want to be cutting through the air without any negative lift. In this case it's positive lift. Anyway, quick lesson in aerodynamics for you, something that was always a great interest to me. I nearly went into aerodynamics, but that's another story. So, moving on. So at high speed it's a little bit draggy, so it will probably uses more fuel as a result of that on bombing runs. But it's just easier to handle, easier to take off, easier for less experienced pilots to handle. A more forgiving aeroplane, and yet still a very high performance bomber. You know. It says the B-26F also features a new ventilation. I mentioned this ventilation mast for the fuel tank, like a breather pipe. Yeah. Air access and a modified windshield design. Oh yes, it seems to be more sloping, I think. Production began. Well, I just wanted to add, I did do a quick look on Wikipedia a couple of days ago, and I'm sure it said that they also, on the F, they removed the 50 cal machine gun, but it's depicted in this kit, so I'm not quite sure whether there's an option there or not. A bit strange. Perhaps that was, you know, just optional at the factory. On some of them have the 50 cal removed. You can imagine that if they're trying to, going back to what I've just said about aerodynamics and drag, that would be something you could understand, because they're probably trying to compensate, if they remove that 50 cal, probably compensating not only for weight for the other things they've added, but also trying to get rid of any drag that they don't need. So, you know, they go to a sort of a bit like a Mitchell. Some Mitchells have got completely glass house front, some have got cannons in the front. And they're probably taking that out on some of the variants to try and reduce the drag and compensate for the other drag that they have got. Anyway, moving on after my aero lesson. Oh, not quite Adrian Newey, don't worry. What's the pity, but anyway. And he goes on to say, so there's a modified windshield design, windscreen. Production began at the Baltimore factory late in February 44, and with the first units reaching the US 9th Air Force in Great Britain by the spring of 45. So it's quite a late variant, isn't it? Hence the F. Additional bombers were allocated to the 12th Air Force in the Mediterranean Theatre. And the B-26F Marauder saw active bomber service right across Europe, with 300 units manufactured in total. Yeah, so they're basically producing for the last 6 to 9 months of the war in real terms, weren't they, I suppose? There you go, very interesting. Excellent write-up that explains things fairly clearly, I think. I'm still a bit mystified about this nose gun though, because my understanding was that that's what was done. They removed the nose gun on the F. But obviously it wasn't on all of them, because it's obviously based on real aircraft. Anyway, moving on. Bit of technical info for you. 17 metres in length. 21 metres wingspan, because this is, again, it's got the slightly longer wings, hasn't it? Because that was another addition that they realised, that the first ones were too short on the wing, also creating a lot of problems with not enough lift, you know. 2 Pratt & Whitney P2800 engines with 1920 horsepower each. Powerful engines, aren't they? It's a lot of power, that's almost getting up to Napier Sabre standards and the Tempest or the Typhoon, isn't it? Maximum speed is 440 k's, what's that, 345, 350 mile an hour, something like that. Not bad at all for a bomber. And maximum ceiling 6,000 metres, 9,000 feet. It's quite low, isn't it, actually? So it's not a high level bomber, clearly. Maximum ferry range 1770 k's, that's about 1200 miles. And armament 11 12.7 50 cal machine guns, and up to 1800 kilograms of bombs. There we go. Right, okay, let's get into the kit then, and I shall zoom you in for this and see what we make of it. Interesting to see this wing. Oh, you can actually see, even just at a glance in the instructions, look at this. Look at the angle of attack, the way that it's depicted here, and the this is the side, looking at the starboard side of the fuselage, and that angle of attack is quite aggressive, isn't it? It looks aggressive. It's not straight anymore, it's pointing right up at the front and down at the back. And then you've got your sprue trim map, quite a few parts here, because obviously there's going to be some different things like the spars that support the wing are going to have to be different because of the angle of attack issue. Lots of clear parts, and interestingly, there is a difference in the clear parts. Clearly there's a difference in the windscreen, as we've talked about. There's also a difference in the nose, which was probably to do with this gun I've just been talking about. And then you've got, here's the extra sprue, which is the critical, you can almost say this is the vital part, that and the fuselage are the vital parts, aren't they, that are changed. You can see you've got a slightly different spar, front and rear spar for the wings, and also the floor area within there is slightly different as well. So you've got completely new parts there. So, a few holes to drill, first of all. And you've got options here, cutting out spent cartridge, cut for spent cartridge case bag and cut for cartridge case deflector. Oh yes, that's the other thing that he didn't mention actually, which I'm pretty sure was in Wikipedia. There were some modifications, improvements to the tail gun system as well. Automatic tail gun, I think, if my memory serves me on this one. Anyway, let's get cracking. So here we go. Zoom in. So we've got a decal going in there, a couple of decals here and there, and you're building up all your internals for the internal structure of the fuselage walls, including little windows. You've got hatches, you've got a viewing port, is that a loading hatch or a window? I'm not quite sure. And the part of the rack system for the bombs. I'm going to have to build one of these, aren't I? I've definitely got one of these. I'm going to have to build one of these. I am going to build a Marauder from ICM because I like it so much. It's got to be done. And I want to sort of pay tribute to the work they've done with this kit because I think it's an absolute corker of a kit. Just don't expect it to be soon, alright? It'll get done. It'll get done. Just zooming back here for a quick update. I was going to do a sort of June, July update, but there's not much to say. The only thing I can tell you about is my charity work. Obviously I've been doing a lot of work for charity, mate, yeah. And the auction, of course, that raised money for Ukraine. For 75% of it was for Ukraine civilians and emergency services and all these. Ukraine Relief was the charity we gave the money to, and they help with all sorts of things, vehicles and ambulances and all sorts. All non-military stuff though, yeah. And they got £1,725, but with the gift aid from the UK government system, we have this gift aid where they get a boost, a bonus from taxpayers. So it came out at something like £2,150 with gift aid. So they got a real benefit. It was much bigger than we imagined. And then, of course, I had a bit of trouble with the animal charity because I had a little issue with one of the charities that were saying it wouldn't necessarily go to Ukraine, so I'm afraid that got axed. I'm not going to name it, it wouldn't be fair now, but we ended up with Blue Cross, who would definitely send the money to Ukraine. So they got £575, but they didn't do a gift aid thing, so I don't know what the story was there. But anyway, so they got £575. So when you actually add it up, it came to something like the total money raised for Ukraine for both the animals, they were saving pets in particular, and animals in zoos and sanctuaries and things. But the total raised come to something like £2,700 that you, the viewers, contributed. I put a bit in as well, but most of it came from you, the vast majority. So those of you that contributed can feel incredibly proud of yourselves, what we did here. At a time when they do need it, no question in my mind at all. Timing was perfect, and I think it shows a bit of solidarity with these people that are, losing their homes. Still going on, isn't it? I'm not going to go on about that, but very unpleasant, and we did a great thing between us, and we came together as a community. I had a bit of help from Jason, Model Kip Stuff, give him a quick plug, because he was very helpful and helped me manage on the night. And then, of course, I had to do, because I forgot one of the kits, stupidly. Still annoyed about that I was so dumb, because I put it in this protective big box and just forgot about it, and then it wasn't in with the rest of them. So I had to do the helicopter, which Stuart Carrier, our good friend, bought that, and so he helped out. But I had to do that one on my own, so I did a mini auction that lasted about half an hour. But it was all good stuff. I'm not in a hurry to do it again, I've got to be honest. I find it very stressful, not least because you've got to be very accountable. What I will do when I do finally do a proper update is I'll show you I got a lovely email, by the way, from Blue Cross about the money that they got, the 575. and thanking me and blah blah blah. I'll show all this stuff in the fullness of time, but most of you've seen it already. It's with the post I did, a couple of posts on YouTube. But we did a great thing. All of us did a wonderful thing, and let's hope that helps people. Anyway, back to the kit. But I say, what I was trying to get to is there's nothing else to say really, because I haven't done it on the Mosquito, but it's coming. It's coming. That Mosquito is not going to become a shelf queen. It's just having a long pause. As soon as we get to September, I'll be back into that like mustard, and then scolding myself for my lack of progress. As Lord Vader said, Emperor is most displeased with your apparent lack of progress. Too right, I don't blame him. I'm my head in shame. Anyway, it's coming, so watch out for that in the near future. But I'll definitely get to make one of these Marauders, because it just seems such a nice kit, and I just want to have a go at it. I haven't built an ICM kit now for about 2-3 years. That's ridiculous. I mean, I'm getting all these kits, I'm surrounded by them. It's just getting the time, you know. Somebody, oh yeah, finally, before somebody was very rude to me last week. It's same old rubbish, really. Somebody said, judging by your videos that I've seen, that last part of the sentence is the important part, I think. You clearly never build, you don't build any stroke many models, many stroke any, I think he said. So my advice to you is get one built, and I just wrote back and said, well, maybe you should do a bit more research. My advice to you is to go and actually do your research on the channel and have a look at all the ones I have built and all how they've been documented, and you can see the builds, I think, as they went along. Yes, it's true I don't build enough, but I'm sorry, you can't be all things to all men. You know, if every channel on YouTube was the same, it'd be absolutely boring as hell, quite frankly. You know, if everybody was as good as Night Shift, it'd be boring as hell. And if everybody presented things in the same way, it would be as boring as hell. Individuality. Variety is the spice of life. And I'm not going to take criticism from anybody. I'll do things my way, thank you very much. If you don't like it, don't watch it. It's absolutely fine. The vast majority of you, there wouldn't be 10,000 of you, well, 10.5 now, watching this on a regular basis and enjoying it if you didn't think I was interesting or it wasn't worth watching, you know. But people jump in and it's like, oh, you don't do the same as such and such. Well, you should do. It's no, I don't care about such and such or whoever you're talking about. Not interested. We should all do things in life our own way. I did it my way. Anyway, I've digressed quite a lot there. Let's get back to this cockpit. So, yeah, you can see the instruments coming in here. They've got quite a lot of controls. Looks like a tricky one to fly, but all old school analog instruments, of course. You've got, looks like an oxygen bottle here. This is why I'm reaching a little bit. People say, oh no, what you said was such and such is actually such and such. That's why we need them labelling. That's why, you know, ICM. Have a look at Tamiyar's instructions. And it's not just ICM. I'm talking to Airfix. I'm talking to Great Wall Hobby. I'm talking to Blooming Border, who's the worst culprit in the lot, and also TACOM and many, Ryefield and many others. Come on. I'm sure we could do a little bit more, can't we? I mean, some of those names I've just named don't even do as much as ICM did. They don't give any history. And that's the critical thing. If they didn't give the history, I mean, I'm digressing again, but this is important, isn't it? Making a wider point here. I might even call this review and an update, because I'm going off at tangents. But if ICM didn't do the history as well as they do, it would be just like one of these border kits or something. And you would think, well, F, what's F? You know, you'd have to go and look it up on Wikipedia, and then you'd be like, you wouldn't have that data that they've given there in the concise way they've done it. You can do anything on the internet, but why should I or you go and do all that research? It isn't necessary. I don't need to become a PhD on the Marauder B-26 bomber. I buy it because I want to build the kit. I have the kit in my case. But I buy it because I want the kit, and I want to have a bit of history and understand its significance. I don't want to become your researcher because you, the manufacturer, can't be bothered doing it, yeah? I mean, come on, it is just ridiculous. And I'm sorry, but the longer we go on accepting this from these Chinese manufacturers in particular, you know, I mean, I had a bit of a moan about Airfix there, but Airfix are the same as ICM. They give the history. They give the relevance. We need that. That is the starting point for the kit in the first place. We need to know what it is, why it is, and then there's a kit to build, okay? You don't do any of that at all. It's just I don't know, it's just an aircraft. I don't know what F means. Do your job, yeah? You know, we're paying these guys 60, 65 quid, and they're giving you, okay, they're not giving the detail I've moaned about, but they're giving you the basics that you need. And some of those manufacturers that I've named from the Far East are not doing any of that, and they're charging more than these guys are, and that's no good. No, the profits, somebody said, it's been commented many times, I know, somebody said that in a response, they said in a post on social media, I'm not sure if it was Border, I think maybe Border or Great Wall Hobby, said, oh, it's expensive and it's a bit time consuming. Tough! Life's expensive and time consuming, yeah? If you're going to be considered a professional manufacturer, you need to give the customer what they want and what they should have. They shouldn't be needing to ask for this. This is bizarre that we're tacitly accepting this, slavishly accepting it. I'm having a bit of a rant now, to be honest. But I think we've just got to stop accepting it and saying, do you know what, like I've done, not blowing my own trumpet here, but Border Model, I will certainly review their products if people want to send them to me. I am not going to invest a penny of my money in Border Models kits because they just cannot be bothered, so I can't be bothered. If somebody else wants to send me the product, say, look, give it a fair hearing. I will. I'll absolutely give it a fair hearing, but you will hear this complaint again and again. To any of those manufacturers, they have got to learn that that is not good enough, does not meet the requirements of the majority. I can go saying you can do it on the internet. Yeah, I can go to a restaurant and I can go and cook the meal in the back and I can go and serve it to my wife instead of them doing it. Do you know what I mean? We're paying you to do a job now. Get on with it. I'm sick of talking about it, to be quite honest. Rant over. Anyway, but you know what I'm saying. I think it's getting a bit ridiculous. Why are we accepting it? I think it's just naive of us to accept it. We should call it out for what it is. They're bone idle and they're just trying to make additional profits. And if we accept it, then we're fools. Just because the plastic's good, that's not good enough. I'm completely gone off track here. Anyway, back to the little bit ICM Marauder. So here you're going to build up with your now alternative different version of this wing spar, the internal bulkhead and wing spar are one. You've got all sorts of things here like fire extinguishers. You've got your bomb racks where the thumb is. Bomb racks coming in here for both sides, and then you're going to mount them on the sort of rails that they go on, and then obviously that was the, sorry, when I said it was the floor, it was the sort of floor, it was the roof, wasn't it, of the, I call it the floor when I saw the plastic, but it's the roof of the bomb bay, basically. So then you're going to bring that in, you've got your bomb bay coming in, you've got your rear and front bulkheads either side of it, you've got your cockpit area coming in here, and then you've got your gunner's position. This is the rear gunner section, I think. Right? Yes, I think so. And then this is the automated gun. I'm not sure how this worked. Whether it worked via a camera. Perhaps some of you know this. Did it work via a camera? Clearly, it's automated because you can see there's no place for a man to see it. Or was it just linked to? I'm wondering if it's linked to these other guns that are down below that probably are manually operated. But this turret at the back certainly doesn't have a man sitting there, interestingly. So it's all electrically operated. It's quite interesting, isn't it, actually? I wonder if it's just basically linked to the top turret, could it be? I don't know. I'm thinking that I'm interested in that. I haven't got the knowledge, so those of you that know, please shout up by all means. Then you got your top turret, your 50 cals again, a lot of 50 cals. So that's what you got: 2 at the side, you got underneath, you got 2 at the back, 2 at the. That's 6. So that's like the power of a, same as a Thunderbolt, pretty much, or a Mustang. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? Yeah, it's a Mustang basically firing backwards alone. Incredible. Then you got another couple of holes on the other side to drill. Then you're going to basically repeat all these steps that we've just been through, so I'm not going into too much detail. All the steps of dressing up the internal. This time it's on the starboard side of the fuselage. I do like where they show the nose weight is needed. You've got to watch this because it's a tri-skull. You end up with a tail set if you're not careful. And it says 90 grams. Now, too few manufacturers tell us how much to put in. A lot just say, put some weight in it. It's like, well, how much weight? I need to know. Come on. You need to be told that. Anyway, here we go. We're going to start with the horizontal and vertical stabilisers for the tail. What's that part there? Oh yeah, that's just the top hatch. I think that's a clear part. Is it? Is that the vent? I think that's the vent. Anyway, you got your vertical tail coming in, horizontal stabilizers, elevators, and then your rudder coming on here as well. And then we're going to be putting the actuator levers for your bomb bay doors going in here. And of course you've got the option here to have them open or closed. Then we've got more 50 cals. This is where it's like a porcupine, isn't it? You know. So we've got like the Mitchell. So we've got another 4 50 cals facing forward in these little pods at the front, around the sort of chin and underside, cheek and chin, if we could call it. And then just putting the cover on the rear. Gun mounting. And then we've just got some these little covers that go on the inside of the spar here. I think that's a bit silly the way they've shown that. Shows it like a blank. I think they made a mistake here actually. Can you see this? F21. I think they should have shown it the other way around. I think they've got those two the wrong way around. Not the part numbers, but the way they've shown the parts. They've shown that as a blank facing outwards. Or is it? No, maybe I'm wrong. It's so that when you look for... Okay, it's me that's wrong. It's so when you look from the bomb bay, you can see the internal structure of the wing spar, the wing root. That's what it is. So no, I take it back. ICM not got it wrong. I have. Now this is the bit I do question a little bit. This one here. This is the 50 cal in the nose, which I say it mentions in Wikipedia that they were removed. And I'm pretty sure it's to do with drag, weight and drag, trying to compensate for the high incidence wing angle, which you're now working on here. Here are these high incidence wings, and you've got your flaps, more powerful at this angle of incidence of course, and then you've got your ailerons, and then they all come in together here. All your little control actuators for those control surfaces. You've got your wing lights, wing tip lights, and then you're going to repeat everything I just said. You're going to repeat it all for the other wing on the opposite side. Same again, wing lights here. I do like the fact they show it again though. I do like that on ICM's instructions, that they don't just say repeat, because it just shows it at a different angle. It's quite helpful rather than just having to make, plod about in the dark, so to speak. Then you're going to build up your Pratt & Whitney 2800 engines, and you've got all your cylinder heads there, of course. You've got your magnetos here in section 89. 89, costs a lot of sections in this instruction. Stage 89. Magnetos going on there, and then you've got your what's that? The fuel feed. I think it's the fuel feed pipes, and you've got all your electrics, and you've got your exhaust and cooling, water cooling jackets here. Dum, 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 dum. Then you've got your cowlings at the bottom. And remember this, folks. I know that Jason talked about this a few months ago, I think, and I've talked about it in the past as well. And that's, don't call me out because I've got something wrong. If I get one of these components slightly wrong, don't get upset about it. Don't get twisted into knots about it. It should be written there, shouldn't it? That's the whole point. We're having to interpret. It's like you. My greatest area of expertise is probably Formula 1 cars, actually, and you'll have seen that, some of you that follow Formula 1 and like that element on the channel when I've done Formula 1 cars. Very rarely make a mistake. I'm not saying I don't ever, I'm sure I do, but rarely, because I know them. But I'm less knowledgeable about this. But it shouldn't need to. Was it Meng in there? I think Meng and the guys who did the Lotus, Meng McLaren MP44, I'm thinking of. And also the Lotus 99T, which came from Nunu, was it? Was it Nunu? They were very good, as I recall, in their instructions, actually saying, labelling things what they were, and that's what we need. It makes it an educational experience, which is what we really want. I think most of us want that. We don't want to just be gluing this A to B, not knowing what it is. We need to see the details, So that's something that a lot of manufacturers could work on that for the future, not just picking an ICM. Many of them, including Airfix and Revell, Anyway, back to the engine. So doing these cowlings and nacelles for the engines, which then go in here and get attached to your wing. And as I mentioned earlier, because of the angle of attack, these are pointing up a little bit more. So it might look slightly odd when you've completed the model, but don't worry, it's supposed to be like that. You can actually sort of see it almost, can't you, in the angle, in that part of the instructions where you see the wings being attached and the engines look a little bit tilted up. That's just the nature of the beast. Then we're going to go into our slightly tricky, if you're an inexperienced pilot trying to learn these things, the tricycle undercarriage. So here you've got your nose wheel, and then you've got your crew access ladder, that's cool. And then you've got your gear doors, obviously, for the front. It's actually got very... So it is actually a crew access. They actually access through the front gear doors, basically, when they're open. Not sure how they get on if they have to bail out. I'm not going to get into that. I think they use the pump bay, to be honest. An emergency to bail out, you know. But you can see how big those doors are there, can't you? And then here we go, actuators for the main gear doors, both sides. And here we've got the main gear legs coming in here. And then your main gear doors themselves here. Tyres and wheels coming together here. I can't remember if they were weight on wheels, we'll see that in a minute. Going in, and then you've got one or two pitos and antennas, radio antennas. And you've got this, I think it's K3, is it? That's one of the differences of the fuel breather mast. And then you've got your props and spinners going on there. And then you have your completed B-26F Marauder. You can see that high angle of attack, how those engines just slightly seem to point up at a slightly odd angle. And then we're talking here, and this is another one of the things I mentioned I'd like to see ICM change long term, you know, to have paint masks. So I think there's the templates here are, yeah, that's going to be really time consuming, incredibly time consuming to produce those. I mean, I wouldn't attempt this. You'll get a good result if you're in no rush, it's absolutely fine, I'm sure. But it's very time consuming, and I'd rather just slap on a mask set and get painting and not be faffing around for days doing that. Anyway, now then, so colour call-outs, very nice colour call-out set. We've got these different artwork options, and now we've got a bit more detail, it seems, that we didn't have on the box. So, Miss Manuki, Manuki, oh my goodness, what? Anyway, 586 Bombardment Squadron, not Bomber Squadron, and they're based at Holmesley South, that's in the UK. So they're still bombing from the southeast of England. Then we've got, 394th, this is Red Light Rosie, another rather racy looking, we'll look at the decals in a second, rather racy looking bit of art, nose art on this one. It doesn't say where though, and sadly it doesn't on this one either. This is Zombie 4. Yeah, I would like to know where they were. I'm pretty sure, but by August those will be well into France and the Low Countries. So there we go. So that's the instructions. Now let's get to the bit you really want to see, which is the plastic, and especially these wonderful decals. Let's have a look at these. Now, I have to say, I don't know if this is as obvious on the camera, but I'm still feeling that ICM's decals, especially on the blues, and they're doing the American stars and bars, they're a little bit washed out. The blue colour I'm talking about, not the printing. I just don't think it's the right shade of blue. It's not dark enough. It's a bit of a grey blue, slight, and we've seen this on some of the others. I've mentioned it before. We've also seen it on the Bristol Beaufort, where we had the British Roundels, same problem. Anyway, just my 5 cents. You may not agree, but you probably can't tell, because I know that my camera has a habit of almost compensating when you see strange things like this. Here's Miss Manuki, and she is an Indian squaw, it would appear, with an arrow and a bow she's about to fire. Then we've got Red Light. What does that say? Good Lord, wait a minute. I hope there's nothing illegal here that's going to get me in trouble. Just a minute. I need my big glasses for this. think there's something rude here. Hang on a minute. Censored? What? Still can't see. Hang on a second. We need assistance from the optic visors. Oh my lord. How very strange. It says, you might be able to see anyway, let me take these down. It actually says, just change to these glasses for a second. Red light rosy, it says on it across a vital assets are covered up by a sign which says censored Vera. I don't know why, I don't know what that means obviously, but and then you've got almost Halloween style Zombie 4. Look at this one, throwing a bomb like a ghoul. That's really cool. Some nice artwork though, beautifully done. Nothing wrong with the printing, all nice decals. Yeah, I say it's just that blue. Can you see it? It just seems a bit grey, a bit wishy-washy, maybe. I mean, you know, on a kit that's getting weathered up, it's not absolutely critical, but seems a bit. I suppose they probably do fade. It's almost like they've been in the sun a little while, so I suppose it's not the end of the world, is it really? I missed this. You've also got your bomb runs. Missions tally there for that one, and the missions tally here for this one. And then here you've got them in red or white. I presume white is when they haven't actually dropped the bombs, perhaps, and that's an abort. But they get, you know, they should get credit for going on the mission because it's damn dangerous, you know. Anyway, what did you think of those? I think they're quite nice. Just the stars and bars are a little bit odd. Yeah, I'm still not convinced that ICM have got the colour right. I'm going to mention it to them again. I have mentioned it before. I think I'll just mention that again because it seems to be a reoccurring theme that the blue's not blue enough for me anyway. Alright, just got that fallen over, so let's just. Another ICM kit that's just fallen over, which we are waiting. See that another day, I think. Now then. Now, I'm probably not going to do an entire blow-by-blow review showing all the plastics. We have seen a lot of it before. I think we should concentrate on what is new. And in this set, we've got the very important different fuselage to create this angle of attack for the wings. So let's have a look. Or do you in fact want me to do the whole damn thing? I bet you do, don't you? I've noticed that even though it's very repetitive, if I do a full review, I get a lot more views on YouTube. I get a lot more views. So here we go. So this is different to the previous versions of this kit. This is your fuselage. And you can see this dramatically increased angle of attack at the mounting of the wing. It leaves you in no doubt in your mind it's different. And you can imagine how draggy that is. So this is why we said it affects the top speed a little bit. Yes, but other than that, nice panel lines, all very nice. Or what you would expect. There's the opposite side, starboard side. Yeah. Excellent, that's all nice. It's quite smooth, the Marauder, actually. The riveting is so fine that they haven't gone into riveting it because I think it would look a bit out of scale, so they haven't done that. Then we have, there's two of these, I'll show you this because I know you want to see it. So here's the props. You get your magneto from the engine here, down at the engine. They're not weight on wheels, no, I couldn't remember, they're not actually weight on wheels, but they are very nicely treaded, these tyres. So that's nice. We've got some lovely detail with the bombs. Got the control yoke here, look, like a steering wheel, isn't it? Almost looks like a modern Formula 1 car. We've gone full circle, haven't we, really? And then you've got the engines themselves with all their fuel lines and push rods. And again, some more bombs. So there's two of that. I'll put that back on there. Then, just let me put that aside. Let's pop these out of the way so we don't. Now here we have, interestingly, this is the new sprue. So this is something that's quite different from the previous kit, and this has got on it the higher angle of attack spar, so you see it goes up a bit more, and then you've also got your shroud here for your 50 cal guns at the back. You've got your top cover that goes on the top of the fuselage, crew access ladders, and so these are all unique to this variant. And then you've got, is it that? I think it's the mast, the fuel breather mast. Yeah. So the few, yeah, there's several of them here. The few minor differences that you have on this variant. Over on the other sprue, we've got more. Now, I like the way they've done this. If you look very carefully, you can see that they've gone for this sort of Zukimura style, trying to avoid ejector pin marks. So we've got a lot of these little lugs, you see them here, little ejector pin lugs that you're going to cut off, one there, just at the end. They're all over the place, aren't they? Got several of them here and here. Even here on the guns, look. Ejector pin lugs stuck on the end of the guns. Several of them, in fact, there's two on that gun. So yes, you've got to cut them off, but it's much less messy than having ejector pins fouling everything up. And you end up with a beautiful, sharp, look at the guns, aren't they nice? Yeah, some good detail there. Absolutely fantastic. I love it. And then a lot of the small parts, little oxygen bottles and things. Sorry, I said that was crew access ladder, isn't it? It's part of the bomb rack, isn't it? Silly me. That's the crew access ladder. There. This is part of the bomb rack system. Yeah, definitely. There it is again. So you've got some fine detail going on here, especially those guns. So that's very, very beautiful. Then we have, now over here, I'm not entirely clear why they use this piece of foam, because yeah, they're protecting these parts basically, these sort of fine parts that are I think they're the actuators for the bomb bay. And then you've got your flaps, and over here you've got one side of the flap, and then the other side of the flap is over here. And then here you've got some of the internals for the bomb bay. You've got the front nose internals here. They've done a really fine job with this, I've got to say. Got another one of the guns here. Yeah, you've got your main gear legs here. They've attached them together, that's two pieces, 1, 2. Just beautifully moulded and sculpted these. That's the main nose gear leg, tricycle undercarriage. That's very fine the way they've done that, I like it. And and that really is it for that sprue. So if I can just zoom back a second. Are you liking what you're seeing so far? Because I certainly am, I've got to say, it's fantastic. Really is fantastic. So you've seen, that's sort of the bag that has most of the parts in that are different. I don't think we're going to see anything that's particularly new in the other bag, but we might have a quick look anyway. Okay, one way to do this, and that's hold the sticky bit away. It is the only way, as Lord Vader said. Ow! There's a sticky bit sticking onto the parts. There we go. We did it. Oh, did it well again. Shame. Okay, that's that one. Beautiful. And this is the one that sort of always excites me a little bit because it's got the clear parts in it. Yeah. And we know that they are going to be pretty spectacular, I think, in this. I think we can be confident. There we go. So, what have we got? We've got this additional bag, Quick look at these. I mean, they just execute it so beautifully. You know, it's just like looking at, you know, Great Wall Hobby or something like that, or even Tamiya, frankly. I mean, here you've got some much finer, nicer detail. Look at these little, these like access panels here that are underneath the wing. See those? Those are nice, aren't they? All the little rivets are visible on them this time. So they've gone into a little bit more detail here. Got some very fine trailing edge. I'm going to say the lights, but I think they're more likely to be strakes. Maybe got pitos in them or temperature sensors, that kind of thing. Same over on this side, on the trailing tip of the wing. Here you've got your elevators and you've got your internal bulkheads. Sorry, that's not the elevator, is it? That's the rudder. Is it the rudder? No, sorry, I'm getting it wrong. That's the rudder, and these are the elevators. They're not in one piece though, so they are separate. So that's that sprue, and then we have got the horizontal stabilisers here. They're massive, aren't they? Look at the size of them. God. And that's like almost like a 72nd scale Spitfire on the ME109 wingspan. Look at it. Anyway, and of course it has this. It has the dihedral, I should say. It has the dihedral horizontal stabiliser. So it's not truly horizontal, is it? It's dihedral. Which is one of the things that gives this aircraft its unique look, and the idea is it stops the drag effect and interference from the airflow off the back of the engines and the back of the wing and the flaps and things. And then you've got your said wings and flaps and ailerons. Here's the straighter wing spar you won't be using for this particular version, and different roof to the Bombay, which you won't be using as well. That's kind of it for those, isn't it, really? So that's that one. Then, last grey sprue. This has got the other wing on it and the nacelles for the engines on it. And you've got this is your Bombay interior here. And again, fine detail, beautifully moulded. Check that out. That's nice, isn't it? Very, very nice, I would say. Nothing wrong with any of that. Oh, but they've got a... Is that real? Have they really got a pitot on there? Oh, that makes me frightened. They've got a... Look at the pitot, and it's even got an ejector pin lug on it as well. So you're going to have to be careful with this. You cut that lug off very gently, and then they've got that... I don't know why ICM keep doing this. It's a bit of a throwback to their old way of doing things. I'm not going to mark them down for it, but you've got to be careful. Look at it. That's so delicate. That's going to get whacked off in 2 seconds, isn't it? Oh dear, oh dear. So that is in fact the starboard underside of the starboard wing. It'd be better if they didn't do that, frankly, because that makes construction a little bit tricky. I mean, come on. What are they thinking of? It scares the hell out of me. That you know that's going to break off in 10 seconds, don't you? Anyway, right, finally then, the pièce de la résistance. So let's have a look at this one. This is the alternate nose glass. Still has it's still got the hole in it for the gun. So I find it a little bit odd. Let's just zoom you in for this. It's still got the hole in it for the gun though, which I don't quite understand. Because as I said, it does say in Wikipedia that they removed the gun to basically reduce the drag and stuff. Anyway, it's beautiful. Look at the clear parts here. Look at these. Aren't they nice? Oh god, yeah, they're so good at this now. They really are one of the best manufacturers for clear parts, I think. Absolutely stellar. So that's that one. I'm just wondering whether those little tiny... There's actually the lights, aren't there? Those are the three little round bits of glass, clear part, just for the lights on the wing. Landing lights, lights. Let's just put that back away. And then finally, we'll see where all this work goes from the young chap. I'll tell you what, I've done that badly. Just a second. Indulge me one moment. There we go, that's better. Right. There we go. Now they beautifully put it, wrap it up now in this sensibly, a bit like Great Wall Hobby I think do as well, and one or two others. And if you look very closely at this, okay, so this is one of the major differences in the kit. If you look at the windscreen, so the windscreens, as you look at them here, the one on the left is the new one for the F version, not the one on the right. And it's got this additional framework, hasn't it? See that? Not sure what the benefit of that is really, other than strength. Perhaps it's something to do with the loading, due to the extra wing loading. But it seems, I don't know, it almost seems a retrograde step to have these extra frames here on the corner that doesn't have. How odd. Anyway, there we are. So you got lights. You got the leading edge lights windows here. You've got this absolutely beautiful crystal clear parts. Look at the gun turret. That's just gorgeous. They never disappoint now, ICM, with these parts. These clear parts. They're becoming the market leader, I think. Definitely up there with Tamiya, but Tamiya always have this horrible seam down them, which they don't seem to have gone away from, and ICM seem to be able to do it without it. I know it's easy, I suppose, when you've got a framed canopy cockpit like that, windscreen. But everything, it's just perfect. They're just nailing it. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, what's not to like? It's just a feast for the eyes, really, isn't it? Well, as expected, no disappointments. If you were being super critical, you'd say, oh, I don't like the fact it's not weight on wheels. I'm not sure why they're not doing that. Because I think there's only one or two of their kits, haven't they? But I guess they're using the mould which was already in use for this one. But I'm pretty sure that none of them did they. I know one of their kits has had a weight on wheel for this, I just can't remember which one it is. Maybe it's the boat 4, I'm not sure. But they're just such nice kits, these Marauder kits. And this is an interesting one, I think, because of this difference with the wing. It makes it a bit of a conversation piece, isn't it? It's like almost like a modeller's water cooler moment, talking about it. You know. Quite an interesting thing. Sorry about the noise. They pack this really well though. Those screws are well designed as well, so it all goes away nicely now. I've actually put them separate because I think they're better separate. I think they're better separately. So there we have it, folks. What do you think? How many out of 10 is it going to get? So as I was saying, if you want to be really super critical, which I don't want to be, but I'll say it anyway. You could have a moan about, oh, that doesn't want to go in, does it? You could have a moan about the lack of weight on wheels, you could have a moan about that pitot sticking out, and you could have a moan about the instructions not having as much information about the components. So, is it going to be 9.75 or is it going to be a 10? I think given that that is the way they do their instructions, you know, I can't really mark them down. It's a bit like Airfix with the Jag. Can't mark them down for not putting that on because that's the way they do things. I'd like to see that change in the future though for both those manufacturers, but I'm going to give it 10 out of 10. It really is an absolutely stonking kit. That. You know, the only thing that's lacking is the crew, but you can get, there is a separate crew set, isn't there? And was it the Marauder that was going to get some crew? I'm sure it is coming, isn't it? I think they're doing 2 crew sets. One was the Marauder, and one was the Black Hawk helicopter. I'm pretty sure that those are definitely in the pipeline. It was in the catalogue, I think. Memory serves. But there we go. I'm going to give it 10 out of 10. Nothing to do with my loyalty to ICM, but I mean, I am really reaching to find anything to grumble about, really. There is all the instructions are there to enable you to build the kit as intended. There's nothing really that is annoying or going to get in your way, or apart from that Pito. Just want to put a piece of foam around that if I were you, or a cork or something. Maybe not a cork. This is just a beautiful, beautiful bit of injection molded plastic. A fantastic kit. I'm sure that these will be exchanging hands for £50 to £60 in days. But for that sort of money, you're getting a heck of a lot of plastic and a lot of fun. I think it'll go together really well. And you can do all sorts of different paint jobs on it. I'm saying that actually, it is mainly the silver, isn't it? And even got the camo on top. They didn't really have, did they? Yeah, that's mainly the silver scheme. So it almost makes you realise that they'd realised at the end of the war that they had air superiority and they stopped worrying about camo a bit more. Anyway, 10 out of 10 from me. Hope you'll give me a thumbs up. Give me a 10 out of 10 for the review. Hope you enjoyed it, thought that was interesting. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to always ding the notification bell. And until next time, I'm sure I'll be back in the not too distant future with something interesting for you. Till that day, please stay well, stay safe. Thank you very much for watching. Please keep watching the other videos. I've had a lot more people watching the older videos recently, which is nice. Some of my stuff from certainly in the last 4 to 5 years, a lot of items have been watched by more people than usual, it seems to me. So maybe the channel is getting traction with people that are, you know, I think people tend to watch the latest video, but you know, there are not just my channel, there's lots of channels, Flory's channel and Jason Model Kits, and lots of people like that have done work like this for years, and me included. It's always worth looking back, and you'll find, just type in the subject you like, modelling subject, and then my name, and I'm sure you'll find, maybe not so much with the ships, but you'll probably find something similar, or if you're interested in 2 or 3 different types of genre, you'll find something, I'm sure. We're certainly big on racing cars, and we even did a motorbike, military vehicles, and we're hoping that the Airfix one's coming through soon, the new Stalwart. Keep fingers crossed for that. And I can tell you that ICM next month are going to be coming through with some very interesting stuff indeed. A couple of new toolkits, which I think you're going to enjoy. And stay tuned. And in the meantime, stay well, stay safe. Thanks for watching. And until next time, thanks a lot. Bye for now.